Most water pumps have 5 basic components. The housing is the outer shell that encases the pump. It is typically made of cast iron or aluminum materials, although a number of modern engines use stamped steel housings. The impeller spins and distributes coolant throughout the cooling system. The bearing assembly is the mechanical support for continuous rotation of the impeller. Attached to the bearing assembly is the hub, which is the connecting source of power for impeller rotation. Finally, the seal protects the bearing assembly from coolant and contaminants. Varying by model, the cooling fluid enters the pump housing through the radiator outlet. Centrifugal force from the rotating impeller inside the pump acts as a vacuum and pulls the fluid towards the center of the pump. The fluid fills the shallow cavity where the impeller rotates in either standard or reverse direction, depending upon the model. The impeller disperses the fluid into surrounding outlets that lead to various subsystems within the cooling system. Over the years, there have been amazing developments that have enhanced the performance of the primary water pump components. The average pump is designed to function for more than 50,000 miles. However, there are various causes for premature failure. The number one reason for premature failure is related to leakage of the water pump seal.
Even when operating well under its design load, the pump bearing assembly is vulnerable to unintended stresses. A seemingly harmless, over-tightened fan belt can pull the shaft out of line, so the bearing eventually goes bad. An out-of-balance fan or fan clutch will stress the bearing until it gives out. A shaft bent even slightly out of line throws an unbalanced load on the bearing, causing premature failure. Abrasive particles in the coolant can wear away the seal or embed themselves in a sealing surface, causing a leak. If coolant seeps into the sealed bearing, it dilutes the lubricant and leads ultimately to bearing failure. Low coolant level or poor circulation can run the pump dry. Then the pump seal gets so overheated it cracks like a hot cup in cold water. Preventive maintenance can protect the cooling system and water pump, avoid breakdowns, and save on costly repairs. Flush the system anytime the coolant looks contaminated. Always flush before installing a new water pump. Reverse flush only if the system's badly clogged. Now, leave the radiator drain open to prevent damage. Feel the hoses. Replace the hardened ones. They're likely to fail at any time. Swollen hoses like this one are trouble waiting to happen. Don't take chances. Replace them. Inspect the thermostat at room temperature. If you can see light all around the edges, replace it. Check the radiator cap with a pressure tester and replace the cap if it won't hold the rated pressure. Inspect the water outlet for leakage and install a new gasket if necessary. Inspect the cooling fan. First, look for cracks, bent blades, loose rivets. Bending a blade causes metal fatigue that usually results in breakage. Never straighten a bent blade. Replace the fan. Check the fan for straightness by placing it on a flat, true surface. If any blade is more than 3/32 high, replace the fan. Inspect the fan clutch. A fan clutch bearing failure commonly results in a water pump bearing failure. Any fan clutch with more than 30,000 miles is suspect. Look for oily streaks on the fan clutch housing. Easy to see because they attract dirt. It's probably a silicone fluid leak from the fan clutch. Replace the worn unit. With the engine off, hold the fan blades like this and try moving the fan from side to side. Tip movement more than 1/4 of an inch either way indicates clutch bearing wear. Replace. With the engine at operating temperature and turned off, spin the fan with one finger. If the fan rotates more than twice, the clutch is freewheeling and should be replaced.